Good morning. Welcome to Laugh Pig TV. We're going to be over in the kitchen a little bit later making some stuff and making some more fun videos of how to do this and how to do that we do around here. Part of what we're going to be doing, we got some sourdough starter that's going to turn into some bread later. I also need to get a new batch of cultured vegetables working in my handy dandy little fermentation crock here. And since several of the things that were going on this week had to do with microbes, bacteria, fermentation, culturing, etc., this might be a good time to have a little short segment on kitchen microbiology, if you will, in that we are purposefully growing and cultivating healthy and beneficial bacteria for the human body. And in our current Purell generation, in which we have decided, 60, 70 years ago, that when we discovered that bacteria and microbes can be a cause of disease, we immediately started fighting all of them, thinking that we were doing the best we could to keep our health intact and kill off all of those little bacteria and germs and stuff that are making us all sick. Unfortunately, we have found out that about 1 to 5% of the total of bacteria and microbes that exist in our world are pathogenic to human beings, make us sick. 1 to 5%. That means 95% are either neutral or beneficial to the human condition. So what happens when we try to kill them all willy-nilly with antibiotics and antibacterial soap and antibacterial this and put chlorine in the water so we can kill all of the bacteria? We've been on a mission, on a crusade for the last half century. Let's get rid of the germs. Well, in the last few years, medicine science, nutritional science has found out that we can't live without germs. They are as much a part of us as our own cell structure is. We have more bacteria and microbial DNA inside us than we have our own DNA. Isn't that bizarre? It's really weird to wrap your brain around. But how about we start, since our crusade doesn't seem to be working against the germs, all we're doing is creating stronger germs and disease-resistant germs that are even making us more sick than the original ones did. How about instead we turn around and use the microbes to our benefit? We find out the ones that work for us, even ones that can kill the 5% of bad bacteria to keep us healthy. How about instead we harness the action of these beneficial bacteria and keep ourselves more healthy by keeping our immune system built up, by keeping our digestive system working well, to keep the human machine running like it should? Ooh, what a novel idea. Let's use some bacteria to help us, instead of worrying about trying to kill all of the ones, the very few ones that are actually trying to hurt us. So that is a little bit of what we do around here by growing particular bacteria in our foods. She's growing bacteria in her foods. Oh my God, I can't believe they're not sick all the time. Guess what? We're not. We're actually very, very healthy. And the more I explore home probiotics and how to cultivate the different healthy bacteria around here, I'm going to become my own mad genius anytime now. Not really, but it's still being a lot of fun for a science geek like me. And even if you're not a science geek, just the fact that we're finding out that we can be healthier human beings with the help of good bacteria, that should be interesting for everybody out there, particularly the folks with a compromised immune system with some autoimmune disorders, allergies, asthmas, things like that, that can be helped when you boost your own immune system. 70 to 80% of our immune system is in our gut. Well, guess what? There are about 40,000 or more species of helpful bacteria hanging out in your gut right now. Or there should be. Perhaps there's not, but there should be. And only about 1% of those bacteria have really been studied to see what they do. So honestly, we don't know. We're still at a point, the science is new, with us figuring out, oh my goodness, this stuff is good for us. These germs are good for us. So the science is really new with this. We're learning stuff all the time. We do know, however, that bacteria stand way higher on the food chain of evolution than we do. That bacteria can evolve so quickly depending on the conditions, whether the conditions are unfavorable and they become better accustomed to performing in this, you know, if it's an antibiotic, let's say, that they now have science that shows how some of the bacteria become resistant to the antibiotic. Maybe not all of them do. Some of them do, and then will grant some immunity to others. They can pass DNA material back and forth between them. It's amazing. These little guys will always out-evolve us. We can't kill them. We can't make them do what we want them to do because we're scared of them. They're going to always out-evolve us. They're going to be faster than us. They're honestly going to be more clever than us about stuff like that. So again, the war against all of these bacteria, we're not winning it. So maybe we need to change our strategy, and how about we get them to work with us and help us out. So that's kind of what I've been doing here in my kitchen. And what I am able to culture, whether it be the kombucha, which I'm having some of this morning, cultured vegetables, sourdough, my wine. I can't even count how many different ferments I have going on at one time around here. But lactobacillus strains of bacteria are the biggies that we try to work with in, you know, a home environment, because there are over 180 different species of just the lactobacillus. Lactobacillus this, lactobacillus that, like 180 of them. And most of them are beneficial to us. So any of those that I can grow around here, I'm helping out my own immune system, the immune system of my family, and actually even my chickens. My chickens eat pieces of my kombucha scobies that culture my kombucha, and they love it. It's a natural probiotic for them too. Keep their guts healthy as well. And so there's kind of where we are with the current war on germs in our culture, and why maybe it's not the best idea. And, you know, hey, we were doing the best we knew how to do. We were told that germs were bad. We tried to get rid of them. We put ourselves in a bit of a bind with our health and creating some disease-resistant bugs and stuff. There's no reason that we can't change now. Can't change, you know, we can change course whenever we get ready. And that's kind of what I've done. And so making my own probiotics here at home has been an interesting and fun process. And because most of my fermentations are what you would call wild fermentations, I am using whatever microbes were already on the vegetables, or, you know, whatever I'm using to ferment. And I'm also gathering whatever's in the air. I mean, microbes are all around us all the time. We walk around like Pigpen from the Peanuts cartoon with this big cloud of microbes around each one of us that's specific to us. I have my own cloud. You have your own cloud. Everybody else has their own cloud. Nobody likes to think about that. But honestly, we have that much bacterial stuff around us, in us, on us all the time. We just need to be cool about it. They're not hurting us. They're helping us. And where was I going with that, with my microbial cloud? Oh, that there's always some in the air, particularly lactobacillus. They're everywhere. You just have to, you know, you make something, they land on it from the air, and if you culture it right, if you give them the right little environment to party in, they're going to ferment for you. And what they're going to do is make your food more digestible that you're working on. A lot of people don't think in terms of fermentation as flavor development or preservation. So many people think of fermentation as next to rotting. Like there's fresh, then there's fermented, then there's rotted right here. When honestly the opposite is true, because fermentation changes the structure of your food, and so your flavor changes, your texture changes, and more often than not, you have added a level of preservation to your food product. So it's now going to last you longer than it would have in its raw state. Fermentation with, let's say, cabbage, because we're going to do some cabbage with our cultured vegetables a little bit later. And cabbage has a large amount of vitamin C in it. Unfortunately, the way the vitamin C is locked inside the cellular structure of the plant, it's not particularly available or easily available for the human body to extract, whether it's in raw form or even in cooked form. But if you ferment cabbage underwater with a little bit of salt in it, that's really all you have to do. You put some cabbage underwater with some salt in it. The lactobacillus loves that environment and will start working on your cabbage. It changes the texture mildly, it changes the taste mildly, but it makes the vitamin C in that cabbage 20 times more available, more bioavailable for your body to be able to use than in raw or cooked form. And practically anything that you ferment is going to have that result. We ferment wine, we ferment beer, we ferment coffee beans before they're processed. We ferment cacao beans to make chocolate. Some of the most favorite things that we eat and drink in our culture have been fermented. Wine, coffee, beer, tea, chocolate, cheese. Oh, I could go on and on. People just don't realize, oh, that's a result of fermentation, which means it's had microbial action taken on it. So again, you need to become friends with these little germs, not enemies. To not get too terribly scientific about it, if you might be interested in learning some more about kitchen microbiology, I can highly recommend Sandor Katz and his Art of Fermentation book. He is just the coolest guy. I went to a lecture that he gave a few years ago here in Knoxville. And this is a guy who was in the early 90s diagnosed with HIV. And big player, business guy at the time, completely changed his lifestyle and went to a almost primitive lifestyle. He lives in a little commune out in the woods and pretty much off grid. And he will admit, although he still takes antiviral agents for his HIV, he really credits cultured foods for keeping his immune system strong while he's going through that process. And he has made fermentation really accessible to the layperson who is not a microbiologist. So if you want to learn a little bit more about it that doesn't have such a serious microbial scientific spin to it, any of Sandor Katz's works are really good at explaining things and giving you lots of cool recipes. This is another one of his, Wild Fermentation. So fun stuff to read. He was a cool guy to listen to. He has a cool website. I think it's wildfermentation.com. But anyway, I got carried away as usual with my spiel on microbes and the such. But we're going to do a little bit more in the kitchen regarding that. So this was just a little informative video of Kitchen Microbiology 101. I'm sure we'll address some more of it later on. Have a great day. Catch up with us later in the kitchen. Bye.